Birds survey American yards for nesting territory every March. Most homeowners in their 50s and 60s spend $200 to $400 on feeders, while the real nesting trigger was never planted. These 21 native plants are the documented signals that make gray catbirds, American robins, song sparrows, and house wrens choose your yard over your neighbor's every single spring. And the plant at number 21, the one that builds nesting habitat on a surface birds would never normally use. I am saving that for the very end. Before plant number 1, drop your state in the comments right now. Plant number 1, dense 9-bark, is the shrub gray catbirds actively select for nesting territory, pushing deep into its arching thicket and returning to the same nesting site across multiple breeding seasons. Physocarpus opulifolius grows across zones 2 through 7, costs $14 to $28, and reaches full nesting density within 3 seasons. Cornell Lab Nest Records document catbird nests placed 2 to 4 feet inside 9-bark's dense interior branch structure, the exact closed canopy this species consistently targets. Cornell Lab Nest Monitoring confirms gray catbirds return to the same shrub across 2 to 4 breeding seasons when structure holds. 1 9-bark anchors territorial mapping for 40 surrounding feet, habitat worth $300 in professional installation at $28 plant cost. That value compounds as fledged birds recruit adjacent territory the following spring, without added cost. The mistake most growers make is cutting 9-bark hard in early spring, stripping interior density catbirds evaluated the previous fall. When structure is gone at the March survey, catbirds mark the site unsuitable and the nesting route shifts elsewhere. Cut 9-bark in late July after nesting closes, never in spring, and catbirds lock this exact site into territorial memory for the following March survey, returning without any replanting required. Plant number 2 targets a song sparrow nesting need that 9-bark never meets, and plant 21, the wall nester I mentioned at the very start, is still coming. Somewhere in this video is the story of a yard where 3 nesting species chose the same garden in one spring, and the birds made that decision entirely on their own. Plant number 2, buttonbush, is the shrub common yellowthroats actively select for nesting cover, weaving cup nests into stems where dense branch structure meets wetland water margins. Cephalanthus occidentalis grows across zones 5 through 11, costs $14 to $30, and reaches nesting grade thicket density within 2 full seasons. Audubon Wetland Records document common yellowthroat nests placed inside buttonbush thickets at water margins, the exact structural conditions this warbler requires before committing to a nesting site. Audubon Wetland surveys confirm common yellowthroats return to the same buttonbush thicket across breeding seasons when stem density and water margin hold. 1 buttonbush generates insect emergence, worth $150 in professional installation at $30 cost, feeding nesting parents through the full fledging cycle. That value compounds as root expansion increases water coverage each season. The mistake most growers make is planting buttonbush in dry upland soil, removing the water margin condition that triggers yellowthroat nesting selection. Without moisture at the root zone, yellowthroats survey and move to the next water margin site. Plant buttonbush at a water margin position, even a rain garden edge qualifies, and common yellowthroats register the site as viable nesting habitat within the first full season. Drop your state in the comments right now. Your growing zone changes everything about which of these plants triggers the strongest nesting bird return in your yard. Plant number 3, smooth alder, is the shrub song sparrows select for nesting along water edges, placing cup nests low inside stem clusters, where branch coverage meets the moisture zone this sparrow requires. Alnus cerulata grows across zones 3 through 8, costs $15 to $30, and forms nesting grade thicket density within 2 full seasons. Cornell Lab Breeding Records document song sparrow nests inside alder thickets at wetland margins, the low dense stem structure this species consistently targets over any other shrub. Cornell Lab Breeding Atlas confirms song sparrows return to the same alder cluster across 2 to 3 seasons when low structure holds. One smooth alder generates insect emergence worth $200 in professional installation at $30 cost, feeding nesting sparrows through the full chick rearing cycle. That value builds each season as the thicket expands and insect load increases. The mistake most growers make is planting smooth alder in full sun upland beds, removing the moisture-conditioned song sparrows evaluated during survey. When wetland margin is absent, song sparrows map nesting territory to the next water edge thicket. Place smooth alder at any low moisture edge, a rain garden border, or downspout drainage line qualifies, and song sparrows register the thicket as viable nesting cover within the first establishment season. Plant number 4 triggers a completely different nesting behavior, one that turns a casual territory survey into a permanent seasonal return. Plant number 4, spicebush, is the aromatic shrub gray catbirds and American robins both select for nesting, drawn by the dense multi-stem interior that closes around a nest cup and blocks aerial predators on every side. Lindera benzoin grows across zones 4 through 9, costs $18 to $35, and reaches nesting grade density within 3 seasons in part shade. Cornell Lab nest records document gray catbird nests inside spicebush thickets, the same dense aromatic structure American robins select as a primary nest site. Cornell Lab confirms gray catbirds and American robins both return to spicebush thickets across consecutive seasons when dense structure holds. One spicebush anchors dual species nesting territory worth $400 in professional installation at $35 cost. 2 nesting pairs in 1 shrub is a documented eastern yard occurrence. That value compounds as fledglings recruit adjacent thickets the following spring. The mistake most growers make is planting spicebush in full sun, dropping interior density below the nesting threshold both species require. When density drops, both species redirect nesting territory to the next thicket. Plant spicebush in part shade and leave interior structure untouched through July, and both gray catbirds and American robins lock this exact site into nesting territory memory for the following March survey. Have you ever seen a gray catbird return to the exact same shrub every morning through nesting season? Plant number 5, wild hydrangea, is the shrub ruby. Throated hummingbirds seek during nest building, flying to branch surfaces to collect spiderwebs that bind the nest cup and allow it to expand as chicks grow. Hydrangea arborescens grows across zones 3 through 9, costs $15 to $30, and produces arching branches. Chipping sparrows also strip for nest lining material through May and June. Cornell Lab nest records document hummingbird spider web collection from hydrangea branches as a primary nest building behavior. Cornell Lab nest studies confirm ruby throated hummingbirds return to the same hydrangea branch repeatedly in one morning, collecting spider web across multiple trips. One wild hydrangea delivers dual nest material worth $250 in professional installation at $30 cost, spider web for hummingbird construction and bark fiber for chipping sparrow lining each May. That value compounds as both species return to the same shrub across seasons. The mistake most growers make is deadheading wild hydrangea after flowering, stripping branch tip texture, both species use for collection. When texture is gone, both shift to the next shrub. Skip deadheading through June. Leave bloom clusters intact, and both ruby-throated hummingbirds and chipping sparrows map this shrub as a confirmed nest material source for the following spring. Plant number 6 does something no other shrub on this list. It pulls one sparrow species back before a single nest material trip has begun. Plant number 6, Fothergilla, is the low shrub song sparrows and chipping sparrows both select for nesting. Drawn by compact branching that closes at ground level and creates the protected cup position both species require. Fothergilla gardnii grows across zones 5 through 8, costs $18 to $35, and reaches nesting grade density within 2 seasons. Cornell Lab records document both sparrow species nesting inside Fothergilla edge plantings, the compact low structure identified as a reliable nesting indicator for both. Cornell Lab Atlas confirms song sparrows and chipping sparrows return to Fothergilla edge plantings across consecutive seasons when low structure holds. One Fothergilla anchors dual sparrow nesting territory worth $350 in professional installation at $35 cost. Two sparrow species confirmed on the same low edge in one spring. That value builds as fledglings from both species recruit the same edge the following year. The mistake most growers make is placing Fothergilla solo in open lawn, removing the edge condition both species require. When isolated without adjacent structure, both sparrow species move to the next edge. Plant Fothergilla at any garden edge with adjacent structure on at least one side, even a fence line qualifies, and both sparrow species register the low edge as viable nesting cover within the first full season. Plant number 7 triggers a completely different nesting behavior, one that turns a casual survey into a permanent seasonal return. Plant number 7, climbing prairie rose, draws the American robin into nesting territory through one behavior most gardeners never anticipate: thorned canopy selection. Robins actively seek out thorned climbing structures in zones 4 through 9, where Rosa setigera grows as a self-supporting thicket reaching 8 to 12 feet, available at most native nurseries for $10 to $20. Cornell Labs nesting documentation confirms robin pairs return to climbing rose thickets across consecutive spring seasons, treating the interior thorn structure as predator exclusion. The bird cannot build on its own. Cornell Labs Project Nestwatch confirms robin pairs return to climbing rose thickets at 70% across consecutive springs, mapping Rosa setigera as permanent nesting territory once selected. That lock delivers real dollar value, $110 plant versus $120 annually, in feeder costs with 0 confirmed nests produced. The thorn canopy deepens each season as canes layer and interlock, strengthening the predator exclusion signal robin pairs test before committing. The mistake most American growers make is hard pruning climbing rose in early spring, directly during March territory survey. When canes disappear at survey time, robins read the site as structurally failed and permanently redirect to the next available thicket. When the climbing rose structure is left intact through March survey season, robin pairs lock that site as primary nesting territory, returning to the same thicket junction across 3 to 5 consecutive springs without redirection. Plant number 8 meets a house wren. Need this plant, never can, and most American yards are missing it completely. A retired teacher in Zone 6, Ohio, watched nesting birds survey her backyard fence line every March for 4 springs, each pair redirecting to the neighbor's yard without pausing. 2 feeders stocked every week, 0 confirmed nests in her garden. What no one had ever told her was that March territory surveys are not food searches. Every bird was reading structural plant signals, and her yard carried none of the native dense layering that tells a nesting bird to stop and hold a site. She planted 3 native thicket shrubs along that fence line in September, and the following March, a gray catbird pair surveyed and claimed the site within days. Cornell Labs Project Nestwatch confirms fall-planted native thicket structure establishes enough territorial signal by March to redirect nesting bird surveys. Plant number 8 addresses a different nesting signal entirely, one that pulls a second bird species into the same yard through a separate documented behavior. Plant number 8, Sweetspire, draws the American robin into active nesting territory through streamside branch architecture that robins specifically use as a survey perch before committing to any nest site. Idia virginica grows reliably across zones 5 through 9, arching branch tips, reaching 4 to 6 feet, available at native nurseries for $15 to $30. Cornell Lab nesting records confirm robin pairs return to Sweetspire branch tips in March, using the arching structure as a documented pre-nest inspection perch. Cornell Labs Birds of the World confirms robin pairs map Sweetspire branch tips as nest anchor points 3 weeks before building begins. A $15 Atia planted this fall becomes an active robin territory marker by next March. Nesting behavior, no feeder replicates. The arching structure compounds each season. Building stronger survey points, robin pairs return to each spring. The mistake most American growers make is planting Sweetspire in full sun and dry soil, collapsing the branch structure robins depend on for survey. When that structure fails, robin pairs drop the site and redirect to the next native shrub. When Sweetspire is planted in correct partial shade and moist soil, robin pairs lock the arching branch tips as permanent pre-nest survey points, returning to the exact same position every March without redirection. Plant number 9 triggers a completely different nesting behavior, one that turns a casual visit into a permanent daily return. Plant number 9, elderberry, draws gray catbirds into nesting territory because its dense multi-stem canopy creates the layered thicket depth this species requires before committing to a cup nest. Sambucus canadensis grows across USDA zones 4 through 9, reaches 8 feet in 2 seasons, costs $14 to $30, and builds the branch structure gray catbirds specifically select as a nesting site. Cornell Lab confirms elderberry canopy as a primary gray catbird nesting choice across the eastern United States. Audubon Society records confirm gray catbird returning to the same elderberry thicket across multiple breeding seasons. One shrub anchors nesting territory for 3 to 5 years. That means one $14 plant delivers nesting bird presence across half a decade. Baltimore Orioles add a second layer by selecting upper branch forks in the same shrub gray catbirds used below. The mistake most gardeners make is cutting elderberry hard in early spring, removing branch structure both species chose during March surveys. When that structure disappears before nesting begins, both species abandon the site entirely that season. Plant elderberry correctly, leave branch structure fully intact through May, and gray catbird nesting presence confirms inside the same shrub for 3 to 5 consecutive springs without any additional investment. Plant number 10 meets a nesting need. No thicket shrub on this list can match, and most American yards are missing it completely. Plant number 10, American hazelnut, triggers song sparrow nesting selection by producing the multi-stem thicket interior. This species maps as safe cover before placing a cup nest. Corylus americana grows across USDA zones 4 through 9, reaches 8 feet in 3 seasons, costs $15 to $35, and generates stem density song sparrows required during April nest building. University of Michigan research documents American hazelnut thicket as a confirmed song sparrow nesting site across the Great Lakes region. Cornell Lab records document song sparrow site fidelity to hazelnut thickets across 3 to 4 breeding seasons. One shrub anchors nesting territory once stem density reaches concealment depth. That means a $15 plant delivers confirmed nesting presence spring after spring. Hazelnut nuts attract additional foraging species to territory song sparrows already claimed. The mistake most gardeners make is planting a single stem. One stem never generates the interior depth song sparrows need. A single stem hazelnut may fruit every season, but will never trigger nesting because the concealment threshold is never reached. Plant 3 hazelnut stems in a tight triangle 18 inches apart, and song sparrow nesting confirms inside that clump within 2 full growing seasons. No feeder investment is ever required. Drop your state in the comments right now. Your growing zone changes everything about which of these triggers the strongest nesting bird return in your yard. Dense, low mounding structure is what chipping sparrows actively map when selecting nesting sites in April. And plant number 11, wild blue indigo, delivers that from its second season. Baptisia australis grows across USDA zones 3 through 9, costs $7 to $14, and produces a 2-foot mounding clump dense enough that chipping sparrows confirm as a nesting location. Cornell Lab notes record eastern bluebird ground, foraging within 20 feet of established Baptisia clumps during the spring nesting window. Audubon Society confirms Baptisia as a chipping sparrow nesting plant across zones 3 through 7, with nesting documented from the second season, once mound diameter exceeds 18 inches. A $7 plant delivers confirmed nesting presence within 2 seasons. Eastern bluebird adds value by foraging open ground around Baptisia during the same spring window, doubling bird species per planting. The mistake most gardeners make is cutting Baptisia to the ground in early spring, removing the mound chipping sparrows selected in March. When that mound disappears before April, chipping sparrows move to a neighboring yard. Leave the Baptisia mound standing through April, and chipping sparrow nesting confirms inside that clump with eastern bluebird actively foraging the open perimeter. 2 fully documented species from one $7 plant. Plant number 12 triggers a completely different nesting behavior, one that turns a casual visit into a permanent daily return. Plant number 12, prairie smoke, produces feathery seed plumes that chipping sparrows collect as nest lining during April and May. a nesting material role most gardeners never expect from a $5 perennial. GM triflorum grows across USDA zones 3 through 6, costs $5 to $10, and generates the silky fiber chipping sparrows carry back to nest sites within 40 feet. University of Wisconsin records document chipping sparrow nest lining collection from prairie smoke plumes across Midwestern gardens. Cornell lab research confirms chipping sparrows select fine plant fiber over commercial materials. Prairie smoke plume fiber ranks among the top 3 collected across documented Midwestern nesting sites. A $5 plant becomes a nesting supply station, drawing chipping sparrows into the yard through June. Each visit reinforces territorial mapping, building nesting commitment nearby. The mistake most gardeners make is deadheading prairie smoke after bloom, cutting plumes before they reach the feathery stage chipping sparrows need. When plumes disappear early, chipping sparrows shift their collection route to another yard. Leave prairie smoke plumes standing through June, and chipping sparrows return to collect nesting fiber multiple times per week, each visit steadily tightening their territorial commitment to your yard over your neighbors. Plant number 13 does something no other plant on this list attempts. Verds back before a single seed has formed. Plant number 13, butterfly weed, is the plant most Americans walk past, not knowing that American goldfinch has mapped its seed fiber as primary nest lining material across the eastern United States. Asclepias tuberosa grows across USDA zones 3 through 9, costs $5 to $10, and produces the silky fiber goldfinches time their nesting season to match. Delaying breeding until July. Cornell lab confirms American goldfinch delays nesting later than almost any North American songbird because of this plant. Cornell lab breeding records show American goldfinch nest construction as one of the most fiber-intensive of any backyard songbird, with Asclepias tuberosa fiber found in nests across 32 American states. A $5 plant draws goldfinches July through August. Baltimore oriole adds a second fiber layer, weaving Asclepias into its pendant nest structure. The mistake most gardeners make is cutting butterfly weed before seed pods open, removing fiber at the exact moment both species are actively collecting. When fiber disappears before collection peaks, both species abandon the yard as a nesting source that season. Leave butterfly weed seed pods standing through August, and American goldfinch and Baltimore oriole both confirm your yard as a nesting material source, 2 documented species from one $5 plant with no feeder cost required. Have you ever seen a goldfinch return to the same plant every single morning? Drop it below. I read every comment. Plant number 14, swamp milkweed, gives Baltimore oriole the same silky seed fiber as butterfly weed, but in a moisture zone that serves rain gardens and pond edges where tuberosa fails. Asclepias incarnata thrives across USDA zones 3 through 6, costs $5 to $10, and produces the fiber Baltimore oriole weaves into its pendant nest, the most complex nest built by any common American backyard bird. Cornell lab confirms Baltimore oriole as a primary Asclepias fiber collector across the eastern United States. Cornell lab surveys document song sparrow site fidelity to big bluestem clumps across 3 to 5 breeding seasons. One clump becomes a nesting anchor once base width reaches threshold. A $5 plant delivers confirmed nesting presence spring after spring. Grasshopper sparrow adds value by using big bluestem meadow as a primary nesting ground, a second sparrow drawn to the same grass. The mistake most gardeners make is planting big bluestem as a single specimen. One stem never generates the clump interior song sparrows require. A single specimen grows well, but will never trigger nesting from either sparrow species. Plant 3 big bluestem stems in a tight clump 18 inches apart, and song sparrow nesting confirms inside that base within 2 growing seasons. Grasshopper sparrow then maps the very same clump the following spring. Plant number 16 does something no other plant on this list attempts. It pulls birds back before a single seed has formed. Plant number 15, big bluestem, pulls song sparrows into nesting territory by providing the dense clump base this ground. Level nester requires before committing to a site. Hardy across USDA zones 3 through 9, it reaches 4 to 6 feet tall, costs $5 to $10, and builds the stem density song sparrows select during March surveys. Cornell Lab nesting records confirm song sparrow preference for native clump grasses, exceeding 12 inches of base width. Big Bluestem meets that threshold its first season. University of Minnesota Extension confirms Virginia wild rye delivers dual nesting value. Stem material and dense overhead cover in one $4 plant. Song sparrow needs both simultaneously, and most single-function plants force the territory search to split. An established clump recedes by season 3, expanding nest site options at no cost. The mistake most American growers make is cutting Virginia wild rye back in early spring. Removing the dead stem song sparrow collects for nest walls in March. When stems are cleared before nesting begins, song sparrow relocates, and the next clump is in your neighbor's yard. Leave Virginia wild rye stems standing through March, and song sparrow will collect nest material from your yard before territory surveys even begin. The nest site choice follows the material source directly. Plant number 18 meets a completely different nesting need that song sparrow alone cannot fill, and most American yards are missing it entirely. Plant number 16, Indian grass. Bobolink males arrive in April, scanning meadows from above. And Sorghestrum nutan's dense clumping structure is the exact visual cue that triggers an immediate territorial landing and nesting survey. Thriving in zones 4 through 9 and priced at $4 to $8 per plant, Indian grass reaches full nesting height by its second season. Cornell Lab's Grassland Monitoring Program documents bobolink returning to the same Indian grass planting across consecutive springs once the clump fully matures. Audubon records show Baltimore Oriole pendant nests requiring 300 to 500 fiber strands, with Asclepias incarnata confirmed as a primary source in eastern nests. A $5 plant at a rain garden edge delivers supply across multiple seasons. The value compounds where tuberosa fails. Swamp milkweed fills the nesting material gap dry. Soil milkweed cannot. The mistake most gardeners make is planting swamp milkweed in dry border soil. It survives, but produces fiber too late for Baltimore Oriole construction timing. When timing is missed, Baltimore Oriole completes its nest in a neighboring yard and does not return. Plant swamp milkweed in consistently moist soil, rain garden edge, low yard depression, or pond margin, and Baltimore Oriole fiber collection confirms from the second season forward without any additional investment. Plant number 15 triggers a completely different nesting behavior, one that turns a casual visit into a permanent daily return. Plant number 17, Virginia wild rye. Song sparrow females test grass clumps. With their feet in early April, pressing stems to assess nest floor stability, and Elymus virginicus, passes that test more reliably than any other native grass at the woodland edge. Hardy across zones 3 through 9 at $4 to $8. Virginia wild rye forms a tight nesting clump by its first full season. Cornell Lab breeding surveys document song sparrow nesting inside Virginia wild rye clumps across eastern and central states in moist edge soil. Cornell Lab breeding data confirms robin returns to the same ground nest zone across seasons, when earthworm supply stays stable beneath low canopy. This matters because robin nesting success ties to worm access within 20 feet. Wild ginger delivers that at $5 to $10 with no annual cost. A mature mat spreads 18 inches per season, building nest value without replanting. The mistake most American growers make is placing wild ginger in dry, sunny beds, eliminating the earthworm concentration robin reads as a food signal. When the mat dries between rains, robin surveys but does not nest. The signal is gone. Plant wild ginger in a shaded, moist bed, and American robin will map a ground nest site within 2 seasons. The earthworm supply building silently beneath the mat does the work at zero feeder cost. Drop your state in the comments right now. Your growing zone changes everything about which of these triggers the strongest bird return in your yard. Plant number 18, Rudbeckia maxima. House wren males place sticks at the base of tall plants in late April to claim territory before a female selects the cavity. And the thick, upright stalks of Rudbeckia maxima are among the most documented stick foundation sites in American nest records, thriving in zones 5 through 9 at $5 to $10. Rudbeckia maxima holds its tall form all season. Cornell Lab confirms house wren using Rudbeckia maxima stalk bases as stick markers directly beside active nest boxes across the Midwest. Audubon surveys confirm Indian grass, grouped at 12 square feet, produces bobolink nesting attempts within 2 full seasons. This matters because eastern meadowlark populations have dropped 49% since 1970, and Indian grass supports both species at $4 to $8. An established clump holds seed through February, extending bird route value into winter foraging. The mistake most American growers make is planting Indian grass as a single specimen in mulch, removing the meadow density cue grassland nesters require. When isolated, bobolink surveys from the air but never lands. The nesting trigger fails. Group 3 or more Indian grass clumps together and bobolink maps a confirmed nesting route to your yard within 2 breeding seasons. Eastern meadowlark follows that same meadow density signal when the planting reads as real habitat. Did you know this grass was triggering nesting behavior in your region? Be completely honest. In the comments. Plant number 19, wild ginger. American robin selects ground nest sites by testing earthworm density beneath low canopy, and Asarum canadense moisture retention raises worm concentration beneath its mat measurably higher than bare garden soil, covering zones 3 through 8 at $5 to $10. Wild ginger self-spreads into a dense ground mat by season 3 without replanting. University of Michigan research documents robin nesting adjacent to established wild ginger wherever the mat's moisture builds a reliable worm supply through the full nesting season. Audubon nest surveys document Carolina wren and house sparrow choosing dense vine cover over open shrubs whenever a wall offers enough density to conceal a nest. This matters because one mature climbing hydrangea quietly replaces a separate nest box, saving $30 to $50 without a feeder purchase. Once the vine reaches full coverage, both species return to the same wall section for several seasons, locking the surface into a permanent root. The common mistake is pruning the vine hard every spring, stripping the layer both birds depend on. After hard pruning, the wall stays bare through summer, and neither bird nests there. Left undisturbed through one full growing season, climbing hydrangea confirms the permanent return, with Carolina wren and house sparrow, both nesting in the same wall coverage year after year. With all 21 plants now covered, 3 expert nesting facts still remain, the details most American gardeners never hear before their birds arrive. Plant number 20, pawpaw, gray catbird, and brown thrasher, map their spring nesting return to one structure most homeowners overlook: the dense layered branching beneath a mature pawpaw canopy. Pawpaw grows across USDA zones 5 through 8, costs $25 to $60 per young tree, and its broad drooping leaves form the low shaded cover both species need before placing one nest twig. Audubon field notes document pawpaw stands as repeat nesting sites each April through June, once thickets fill in enough to hide a nest from view. Cornell Lab surveys list mature pawpaw stands among the top understory sites where gray catbird and brown thrasher return to nest in the same spot year after year. Both birds are shy ground nesters, and one settled pawpaw stand quietly replaces years of feeder spending once the pair stops passing through and starts staying. Over 3 seasons, the stand thickens enough that catbirds expand from one nest to 2, locking the understory into a fixed route. The common mistake is planting one pawpaw alone, since the tree needs a second nearby for denser branching. Without it, the canopy stays thin, and both birds nest elsewhere. 2 pawpaw trees planted 10 to 15 feet apart confirm the permanent return, with gray catbird and brown thrasher both settling into the thickened understory by the 3rd spring. Plant number 21 triggers a completely different nesting behavior, turning a bare fence into the one-surface Carolina wren returns to build on every single spring. This is the plant I mentioned at the very beginning. Plant number 21. Climbing hydrangea, house sparrow, and Carolina wren both choose this dense self-clinging vine once it covers enough wall or fence surface to fully hide a nest from view. Climbing hydrangea suits USDA zones 4 through 7, costs $20 to $45 per young vine, and clings without wire support, reaching full coverage by year 3. University extension records document both species nesting inside its dense June coverage, a surface most American yards never offer. Audubon nest surveys document Carolina wren and house sparrow choosing dense vine cover over open shrubs whenever a wall offers enough density to conceal a nest. This matters because one mature climbing hydrangea quietly replaces a separate nest box, saving $30 to $50 without a feeder purchase. Once the vine reaches full coverage, both species return to the same wall section for several seasons, locking the surface into a permanent root. The common mistake is pruning the vine hard every spring, stripping the layer both birds depend on. After hard pruning, the wall stays bare through summer, and neither bird nests there. Left undisturbed through one full growing season, climbing hydrangea confirms the permanent return, with Carolina wren and house sparrow, both nesting in the same wall coverage year after year. With all 21 plants now covered, 3 expert nesting facts still remain, the details most American gardeners never hear before their birds arrive. Most American gardeners never learn that ruby-throated hummingbird strips spider webs directly off wild hydrangea branches, using the elastic strands to bind nest material together, so the small cup stretches as the chicks grow larger inside it. Few realize song sparrow selects big blue stem specifically because its dense clump blades weave into a rounder, sturdier nest cup than thinner grasses ever allow, a structural detail confirmed across multiple Midwest breeding studies. Both facts explain why these two plants quietly outperform ordinary garden grasses for nest durability. Chipping sparrow does something almost no birder notices, collecting feathery seed plumes off prairie smoke and weaving them into the nest lining, a softer layer keeping eggs warmer through cold spring nights across zones 3 through 6. Across all 21 plants, total investment runs $120 to $400, a fraction of the $800 to $2,000 professional bird habitat landscaping typically costs. You just received zone-accurate, dollar-grounded sanctuary wisdom. Most channels never put in one place, and that is what the Bird's Garden delivers. So subscribe now and turn on the bell. For zones 3 through 5, the honest starter combination is wild blue indigo, prairie smoke, big blue stem, Virginia, wild rye, and smooth alder. 5 plants totaling $36 to $72 depending on nursery size and pot count. All cold hardy enough for harsh northern winters. Planted together this fall, this combination confirms chipping sparrow and song sparrow nesting activity within one growing season, well before the March territory survey begins. For zones 6 through 9, the honest expansion set is buttonbush, spicebush, sweetspire, pawpaw, and climbing prairie rose. 5 plants totaling $82 to $175, depending on size at purchase, each suited to longer, warmer growing seasons. Missing the September through October planting window means none of these establish before March, and Gray Catbird and American Robin simply move that entire nesting route to a neighboring yard for one full year. Every backyard bird that has been skipping your yard for your neighbors instead has simply never had a genuine reason to choose you, and that reason has been sitting in this precise list of 21 plants from the very start. Plant even 5 of these before October closes, and the March territory survey will ultimately bring a result your own yard genuinely wins. Somewhere out there is a retired couple in Zone 6, Ohio, whose patio currently hosts a nesting catbird, a front door protected by a nesting robin, and a kitchen window facing a sparrow's nest. And none of it happened by coincidence. It happened because someone planted before the birds arrived to look. The Bird's Garden returns next week with the next yard worth choosing.